Good afternoon.
Hey everyone, thank you for being on time. We appreciate it. We're going to get started, and I will manually admit those that are a little bit tardy. But we're really excited actually to have, for the first time at our Mindset Monday, Mark Brodsky, who's a very well known speaker and founder and owner of digital communication. So, Mark, I'm just going to pass the virtual stage over to you, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, my pleasure, Louise, and thank you very much for having me here for Mindset Mondays. Yes, because it is my first time, just a quick introduction. Yeah, my name is Mark Brodsky. My company is MB Digital Communications, which I launched about 17 years ago. The reason I launched it is that I had an old dog named Marley, and I was working in a restaurant, and I felt badly leaving him alone for 8 hours at a time. So I wanted to do something that would allow me to work from home. And digital marketing was a good fit because I was already doing some for the restaurant. As it turns out, and as anybody with an old dog knows, they tend to sleep a lot. But you know what? I was happy just to be around in case. He's been gone since 2010, but after he was gone, I got my dog fixed in by dog sitting for friends and family. I also fostered some dogs before they went to their forever home. And then a couple of years ago, I just decided, you know what, it is time to adopt my own dog. And so I adopted an 11-year-old Cocker Spaniel named Buster, who turned 13 recently. And of course, he is sleeping behind me. Hopefully, Zoom will mute out his snoring. But I know you're not here to talk about dogs as much as I would love to. So in terms of the business, the first year was a real struggle. I knew how to use email marketing and social media, but I didn't know how to run a business. For the first year, I took on some strange part-time jobs to help make ends meet. And by the end of the first year, I was running out of savings and hope. So what saved me from looking for a job was a boot camp, like a boot camp for entrepreneurs from the province, which was 10 weeks, taught us everything we needed to know from 5-year plans to networking to public speaking to time management, which is really what got me to where we are today. So we're a team of 3. And I think one of the most valuable things I learned was to figure out, so what do I enjoy doing? What do I do well? And what makes sense to outsource, right? So I absolutely understand where you're coming from. It's just like everybody else, you have to decide where your time is best spent. So goal today is to shed some light on social media so you can figure out, the value of it, how it works, and decide if it's something that you actually want to do. So we're going to get started. Um, Here we go. Oh, but first this was Marley on the back deck. This was Buster when I first got him, very much in need of a haircut. And this was him after his first haircut, um, barely recognizable. All right. So thank you for listening and let's go. So I would like to say, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat because I'm happy to get to questions as we go through the slides and can certainly answer some at the end. And I know this session is being recorded, so you can watch it because I know there's a lot of content. So if you miss anything, you can go back and revisit it. So our topic, of course, is a social media primer for realtors. And so I have a question for you. But first, is it possible to get a show of hands? How many people are on Facebook, whether personally or professionally? You can raise a hand. Okay. Okay, excellent. I've got 3 hands. How many people are on LinkedIn? Okay, even more hands. So we've got 4. I'm going to lower all hands in the final question. Um, how many people are on Instagram? All right. Oh, even more. Okay, well, that's interesting. So that helps sort of guide me as to where we're going to go today. But I think the question you really want to ask yourself when you're looking at social media professionally is, why do people spend time on social media? I mean, one reason is to keep up with friends and family, especially for things that are happening overseas or out of the province. This is a cousin of mine that got married in Georgia recently. Uh, for special interests. So a fun fact, I'm a coin collector. My dad gave me his coin collection a while back. And did you know that Newfoundland had their own currency until 1947? So I'm part of a real coin collectors group. And of course, for local content. So not always news these days, but certainly neighborhood associations and BIAs and things like that to know what's happening. The one thing we're not going to see here is ads. Social media is best used as a tool to build community and start conversations. So what does social media do well? First, it helps you build relationships with the people that you already have, and we'll talk about building a following. It will also help you increase awareness because as people interact with you, the people that they're connected to will see that action. It helps you build online credibility, right? Because whether somebody has been referred to you or they found you online, they're going to look up your social media accounts, and it really gives them an impression about who you are and how you conduct business. And number four, it's going to teach you how to grow your email list using social media. So in the next hour, we're going to talk about making a great first impression and building a following. I'm going to talk a little bit about two kinds of social media presence you might have, both creating your content and finding third-party content, and sort of when and how you might want to do that. We'll go a little bit into social media advertising and growing your list. So let's talk about making a great first impression, because certainly when people look you up for the first time, you want everywhere you are online to sort of look fresh and up to date. So on LinkedIn, which is something I recommend that every real estate agent is on, because when people Google you, it's one of the first things that shows up. So it's your opportunity to control the conversation, and you can post news listings and lighter content on LinkedIn. And you absolutely want to make sure that your account is up to date. The nice thing is that LinkedIn will guide you as to what is complete and what is not. Even if you're already on LinkedIn, I suggest you go back every 6 months or so and just see what the suggestions are. I want you to have an up-to-date professional headshot. Because again, one of the main things, one of the things online is you want it to translate into real life. And if you're using a headshot from, 10, 15 years ago, people may not recognize you in real life. The other thing is you can design a banner. So again, to help make your profile stand out. Number two, I would say, is Facebook, for two reasons. One, it simply has the largest number of daily users. And the second thing is it's got a really good advertising platform, which we'll talk about. And of course, on Facebook, you can post almost anything, right? Photos, videos, links to articles, not news, simply because of the disagreement between Meta and the federal government, but almost anything. And again, it has the largest number of daily users. So again, you want to use that same professional recent headshot and banner. And Facebook will also guide you as to what is complete. And it does change on a regular basis. And the more information you can give Facebook, the higher the chance is that Facebook will help you find new followers. Because Facebook, like every other social media channel, they want to give people what they're interested in. And by telling them who you are and who you want to attract, they will help you do that. Now, I generally recommend that people use a Facebook business page because if you're only using a personal profile, you don't have access to the Meta Business Suite, you don't have access to the analytics, and you don't have access to advertising tools. All right, number three, Instagram. So one of the big differences between Instagram and the first two is that any content that's on Instagram, you're pretty much creating yourself or somebody is creating for you. Again, like you might post an article from HGTV on Facebook, but you can't do that on Instagram. The benefit of Instagram, though, is that you'll find you get more engagement. And by engagement on social media, it means somebody commenting on a post, liking a post, sharing a post, and Instagram even considers it engagement if people hover over a post. So again, that's why it's really important to have great images, because you want people to pause even for a moment, because they're telling Instagram they're interested in what you're posting. And again, you have an opportunity for that recent professionally shot headshot, a brief bio, and you have an opportunity to have up to, I think, 4 links at this point. So especially if you have not looked at your Instagram bio for a while, that change came in the last year or so. So you can add more links. So whether you've got a landing page or active listings, you can put them in your Instagram bio. And finally, we've got TikTok. So TikTok, of course, is pretty much exclusively video based. The anecdotal evidence I have is that it can be good for generating leads, but you really have to be comfortable on video and have a plan to be posting on a regular basis, almost daily, is the recommendation, but I would say at least 3 times a week. So we'll talk about the different kinds of social media presence, but TikTok, I would say only if you're prepared to put in the time. And again, very similar to Instagram, it's that headshot, a short bio, a call to action with a link, but it really is very basic because there aren't any banners. So one tool which I bet most people are familiar with is Canva. Now, they are not paying me to say this, but I think they're fantastic. One thing I love about Canva is that the basic use is free. And if you want to create your Facebook banner, you log into your Canva account and say, I need to create a Facebook banner. And then it will give you the correct measurements. And then you can do the same with LinkedIn, because of course, they're not owned by the same company. They're slightly different. And if you use the same graphic for both channels, it's not going to look right on one. It may be blurry, it may be stretched. So you absolutely want to make sure that it is the correct size. And again, if you're using your own graphics, the basic use is free. So are there any questions I can answer about sort of the basics of getting set up? All right. See, this is where it's also a little bit nice to be in front of people, because I can look around and make eye contact and I can see who's looking away. All right. Let's talk about building a following. And even for people that are active, I know you were going to get something from this section. So my first suggestion, go for the low-hanging fruit. I would say first connect with people that you already know. And this applies on any social media platform you're using. So first, send out an email. Hopefully you have like an email database set up. Send out a really simple email with one action. So with this email, all you're doing is giving people links to your social media and saying, this is what we're posting. Please connect with us. Half the people that you're emailing will be opening this on their phone. So it's really easy for them to connect this way. Now, specifically, if you're on Facebook, oh, and I should mention, I do some volunteer work for the Toronto Film Society. So we may see a couple of old-time movie stars. But on Facebook, you want to invite people you're friends with. So you click the 3 dots under the banner photo. It brings up a drop-down menu. You click on invite friends, and it will bring up a list of people you're connected to and who have not yet or who are not yet following your page. You can choose them one by one or select all. It's a personal choice. Some people don't like to invite their competition to like their page, but it is public, so you can't prevent somebody from liking your page. And you can also send an invite in Messenger, which I like to do because, it's just that repetition. Eventually, you're going to wear people down, and the more times they're invited, the higher the chances they'll actually finally accept the invite. So LinkedIn, you're probably connected with a lot of colleagues. Reason is, as soon as you start connecting with people on LinkedIn, it gives you a full page of people you may know. So if you connect with somebody in the office or another Remax agent, it's going to suggest like a full page of people you know, and it's really easy to click connect, connect, connect. I would suggest connect with past clients. There's no statute of limitations. So anybody you've done business with this year, anybody who sent an inquiry this year, connect with them on LinkedIn. especially because they know there's a high chance they're going to accept your connection request. And then you can work backwards because people are generally happy to connect on LinkedIn, especially with people they know. And if you're active on LinkedIn, there's a higher chance people will see your posts simply because the algorithm seems to filter out less than Facebook and Instagram. I hope that makes sense. Got a graphic later on, but effectively, when you post something on Facebook, your Facebook business page, you're lucky to get 5% of the people following you that actually see that post, whereas it tends to be much higher on LinkedIn. And then Instagram. So every social media platform is a little bit different, has a bit of a different culture. So Instagram, you're going to follow people first. So when you're in the app, Instagram will suggest people that you already know on Facebook who are also using Instagram. So really easy, you follow them and they will follow you back. The other thing you can do on Instagram though is you can be a little bit strategic. So first, you can look up like popular hashtags where you're working, and you can look at the people that are using that hashtag. Now, of course, people using Kitchener real estate, I would be surprised if anybody was using that wasn't an agent. But for instance, you might do Kitchener moms or Kitchener foodies, or if you wanted, let's say you specialize in Lorne Park in Mississauga, you could see who's using that hashtag and follow them. And when they see the good content you're posting on Instagram, they'll follow you back. Similar thing can be done on TikTok. So you'll see I have not quite yet embraced TikTok for personal use. I'm following two people, couldn't tell you who, and I've not ever posted on TikTok. I just feel like, not that I'm an old man, but like, you know what? Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, that is enough for me for now. But again, you can look things up. Again, I typed in real estate Kitchener and it gave me a whole bunch of different options that people are using by popularity. And again, there's a number of different search engines you can searching options you have. Generally, I would say across all the platforms, um, follow like-minded organizations. So if you think about the kind of businesses that you refer business to and the kind that refer business to you, start connecting with them online. Again, start with people that you know, and then reach out to people that are in your city, but you're not yet connected to. Because again, you never know where that next referral is going to come from. And a lot of personal relationships happen online. A lot of professional relationships start online as well. It's not that difficult if you find someone you're interested in to ask for like a 30-minute call or a 30-minute Zoom, you get to know each other, and you have a new referral source. And again, they're also going to be posting content that's of interest. So Gerald, for instance, you know that on Wednesday, he's going to be posting something about the Bank of Canada rate announcement. And hopefully not only will he post the results, but he'll post some context and his predictions. The lawyer, anytime there are law changes. So maybe there are changes to short-term rentals where you are. That lawyer is going to be posting that. And the designers, they're going to have great before and after pictures. So if you find somebody whose style really resonates with you, you connect with them. And again, not only do you have a potential referral source, but I know that a lot of agents like to act as referral sources for their clients, right? Because you don't want that relationship to end once the transaction closes. You want to train your clients to give you a call when they need a landscaper, a handyman, a contractor, a plumber. And if you have access to some great people, that's a really great way of staying remembered because every time they need something home related, you're getting a call. The other way that you can also build a following is by putting the social in social media. Not only would I like you to be responding to comments that people leave, but also reach out to people. Um, One of the things on my daily to-do list, which I don't get to every day, but I set aside 15 minutes and I go on one platform and I connect with people. Sometimes I'm strategic about it and I look up prospects. Sometimes I go through my feed. But again, you leave a comment on somebody's post, they respond to it, people they're connected to will see it, and it snowballs over time. All right, so I've got a question. To have a Meta verified account, it asks your full legal name, which I don't want for public for security reasons. Is there a way to have it verified and not show the full legal name hidden from public? Uh, that's an excellent question. I think that's almost like a bit of an onion of a question, because you also, my understanding with the RICO rules, you also have to post publicly in your banner the legal name you're doing business with. So that you're going to want to look into that. That being said, I don't think it's important for a real estate agent to have a verified account. I think if you're a celebrity or a really an international brand, you want to be verified. But for an individual or even a team, I don't think it's important to be verified. I hope that helps. And thank you for the question, because otherwise I'm just sitting here talking at you for an hour. And more of a couple more passive ways to collect followers. Make sure on your website you have your icons front and center. It's a lot of work to drive somebody to a website. And when they're there, you want them to be able to stay in touch with you however they prefer to communicate. So again, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, email, just make it easy. And in your email signature, you probably already have a basic email signature. So want to add your social media icons. Anytime you email somebody, you have an opportunity for them to click through and follow you. I would say your homework is, if you already have these, after the webinar, go to your site, send yourself an email, click those links and make sure they work. Because I would say like 20% of the time, they don't. So always good to make sure that they work. All right, and I've got a question going back on your last point. When you say engage with prospects, can you be more specific? Oh, absolutely. So if I'm working with a prospect, um, you know, nobody likes somebody doing a hard sell, or I don't anyway. So I just see what they're posting online. If I've connected with them on LinkedIn, maybe they've done a video for a new listing, and I say like, great video, I really love the kitchen. Or if they're posting something about their dog on Instagram, I might comment or even just like it, and then they get that notification. And it's just like, oh right, I was supposed to call Mark back. But that's all it is. All right. So, and we got one more question about Rico. So I know Louise, you'd be more of an expert on this, so maybe you can talk to him after this. But yeah, so when you meet someone, yeah, you can look them up online and connect. And actually, I've got a whole other section on that as well. So yeah.
Is that not too creepy? Like, I feel like if I meet someone as, sorry, I'm just going to talk because it's just
Oh
easier.
no, it's fine. It's easier.
If I meet like a lead, for example, let's say at an open house, right?
Yes.
I feel like a stalker if I go online right after and look them up because don't get me wrong, I do it, but I just don't add them because I feel like it's stalkerish. What are your thoughts on
I think it depends on the quality of the conversation that you had. I mean, if you really had a connection, then I don't think there's, or you might even ask them while they're there. Hey, I love, I tend to connect with everybody on LinkedIn or Instagram. Can I add you? If you just talk to them in passing and they signed the sign up sheet, then I wouldn't. But someone that you've generally made a connection with, think I don't think it's creepy.
That's a good point. I think I'm just going to ask them up front.
Yeah.
And then that will be a great point to like kind of just add them without being a creep.
Right. And then they have to have a sort of really strong feelings to say no to your face after you've had a good conversation. So yeah, thank you. Didn't even think about that. So, okay, this part I'm excited about. Not that I'm not excited about the rest, because I just updated this information. You were the first group to get this section. So if you have any feedback, let me know. What we're going to talk about is the type of social presence, because I think at this point in time, there are two different ones. One I would call a brochure presence, and one would be like lead generation. So brochure presence, it acts as a brochure when someone looks you up. So it's a very basic presence. Obviously you include your new listings. You want to post things about that are happening in the market, whether it's mortgage rates or your local real estate board's news. You may post some articles, some third-party articles. I think Pantone just released their color of the year. So you could post that, and effectively it's again, it gives a good sense of who you are, but it's not terrifically interactive. The lead gen presence, this can really work as a referral tool. The catch, of course, is that you are much more active creating content and spending time on social media. So the question, of course, is how do you choose? So again, if you are hoping to use social media as the main driver for your lead gen, that may be something you want to choose. But you also have to be realistic about the time and desire and ability to be creating content on a regular basis. And I'm talking about 3 times a week. So you have to be on top of that. And at that point, you may want to look at it toward lead generation. But if you're successfully using other methods, let's say you're emailing your clients on a regular basis and they're providing referrals, or you've got a third party doing lead gen for you, you may just need a brochure presence. I think you'd need some sort of a presence, and there can be some overlap, but again, we can't be everywhere all the time, so this should help you decide. And so let's give you a bit of a case study. So Michelle is an agent up in Barrie, and what she does, so when she meets somebody, now I should say she's a 30-year-old woman, and I feel like this next comment is about to get me canceled. I feel like it's much less creepy for women to ask to connect with people than it is for men. But I guess it depends on how you ask. But she'll meet people at a concert or on vacation, and she'll add people as friends. And then she posts on both her business page and her personal profile. She generates all of her own content, but she was clear to let us know it's an assistant that does the posting. So again, you may see people that are posting all the time. They may be creating content in advance and not actually posting it themselves, but it will still work. Again, it's hours, right? She couldn't even put a number on it, but she said, and this to her was a long-term strategy. After 5 years of doing this, I don't know if 5 years sounds like a long time. She says 90% of her leads come directly from Facebook. So she's posting things like, here she is at the Kawartha Dairy. Here, with her fiance and their 2 children. Because people love children and dogs and cats. And then once in a while, it's all the action that she's seen on the market that she and her team have sold. So again, it generates business for her, but just like everything else in life, the more you put in, the more you get out of it. Something more of a brochure presence. So this is an agent in Toronto, Kimberly Hazard. So for her, we use Facebook and LinkedIn primarily, and we post a balance of information. So she specializes in a specific neighborhood, so we post articles from that neighborhood. But of course, market news, decor articles, sometimes like best of the city. And we also share the posts on our personal profile, because again, it's important to have a business page because that gives you access to tools, but you're going to get more likes and comments on a personal profile. For her, of course, she spends time is next to nothing. Her main job is to check the feed every so often because people come up to her in real life and they may not have liked an article she posted, but they'll talk to her about it when they see her. And again, she gets a really great looking feed that starts conversations. It doesn't take her any time. So we've got an article from the Cabbagetown BIA, just asking about some local improvements, an animated market update, and of course, photos of her dogs. All right, so I hope that was helpful because again, depending on what else you're doing, that will define what kind of presence you need. So let's talk about content. Because again, you can be doing everything right, but if you're not posting on your social media, you're not going to reach anybody. So I want to talk about some simple, straightforward ways to create content, but then also some ways to find third-party content that will engage people, that will, can act to fill the gaps and save time. But no matter what kind of content you're posting, I suggest you keep the 80-20 rule in mind. Again, social media is not meant to be used as a direct sales tool. you're really trying to build a community and start conversations. And if all you're posting are new listings and calls for valuation, you will turn people off. They will, as me on my phone, they'll scroll past your posts without engaging, and the Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn will stop showing them your posts. But if you're doing 80% of it correctly, right, like informative, entertaining, you can get away with 20% that is sales related. So things like new listings, again, open houses, testimonials, but you do want to keep it to a minimum because again, every time people see your name, it may have your name, it'll have your brokerage. They know who you are and what you do. You don't really sort of have to hammer it into them each time. In terms of creating your own content, photos are fantastic. So for instance, we've got one client in Oakville. She goes all out for the holidays, and I know she's already started for this year. But you know, we posted like more than 15 on her business page, shared it to her personal profile, and again, she got like 100 people liking it. You know, because it's genuine to her, it's authentic, and she really loves it. And I know not everybody is in the habit of taking photos, but if you can get used to it, if you can make it into a habit, you'll find you always have content. If you like to write, a blog can be a really great piece of content to create because people like long form content, but not to read it on social media or email. You got to get them to click through. So for this one, it was like one paragraph um, and a link. Now the reason that I keep this one in, even though it's like from 2020, is it always makes me laugh a little bit because you know I think we wrote this in the beginning of March. Nobody could have predicted what was going to happen in the rest of 2020. And finally, I know some people recoil in horror. Video. One of the goals of social media is to differentiate yourself from the competition, and video is one of the best ways to do it and to showcase your personality. So this agent, not a client, but one of the reasons I like his video is he markets to a specific neighborhood, and in this video, he's got a local personal concierge. So he's in the video, she's local, and there are dogs. So if you're creating content, the best thing you can do is include your face in it and or a pet. Um, and again, I know you're highly trained professionals dealing in like 6-7 figure transactions. The goal is to start a conversation here. So this is how you'll do it. Another way that you can create your own content is if you send out an email newsletter, post it on your social media. Not everybody is going to read it in their inbox, and you'll be connected to a number of them on social media. So that may be where they want to get their information. And certainly you'll be connected to people on social media that are not on your mailing list. So again, there's no cost to doing it. Some email programs will do it automatically or for free. So there's no reason not to share it. Let's talk about third-party content. The reason that you might want to look to third parties is that it can be a real time saver, especially if you are looking for a brochure presence. You don't have the time to create your own content. You can find content online that is interesting to you and to your audience. So I know we've got people from like 14 different brokerages, so I couldn't get too specific here, but if there's a BIA in the neighborhood where you work, they're going to be posting events and specials. Tourism sites. You know, locals are probably not going to go to a tourism site, but people love to know what's happening. And the tourism sites will have great links to all the events that are happening. Sometimes you can link directly to the event rather than the tourism site. But if you start posting really good content, people will learn that you're acting as a filter from all the noise that's out there. And then they will come seeking your feed because they know what you're posting is interesting. Again, got alternative newspapers and local blogs. I know for the Kitchener-Waterloo area, there's a food writer named Andrew Coppolino. And so he has his own website, but he also publishes in the Record. So he's a great source. And the reason that I keep mentioning food, not because I'm hungry, but because that is like one of the most clicked on topics online. And that's why there's so many so many of the publications online, so many websites post things about food because that's the way to get people clicking. In terms of national sources or international, there's like a home decor site called The Spruce. We've got house.com. So that's American, but I like it because the articles are written by professionals and not by people trying to sell things. Condé Nast Traveler. Anybody who likes to travel, they have all sorts of great articles, like the top 25 best new hotels, eco-friendly Airbnbs, just any, and they're updating it on a regular basis. Architectural Digest. Again, it's home related, but not salesy. HGTV, and then Realtor.ca, the living room blog. Again, there are so many options to choose from that you should be able to find content that you find interesting and that the people you have worked with will also find. And what makes it legal is that you're not sharing the content in its entirety. You're just driving traffic to the websites. So, for instance, on Facebook, you paste the link into Facebook, it pulls in the photo, the credit, a headline, and all you need to do is write like a line about why you think people will be interested. LinkedIn goes one step further, and they actually will tell you how long it will take to read it, which I think is a good thing when it's a short article, but I have seen things online where it says like it's an 18-minute read, and I just think, not today. But 2 minutes, yeah, I'm curious about what IKEA is doing. So we've talked a lot about different sources and creating content. I would like to share a couple of time-saving tips with you. Number one, Google News Alerts. So they're free, and you can set Google up to email you headlines from articles that are of interest based on any kind of keywords that you want. And you can have them email it as it's happening or weekly so that you're never really out of content. So certainly start with some basic commands like Toronto real estate or real estate wherever you are, Bank of Canada, mortgage rates. If there are specific kind of projects you're interested in, like laneway housing, you can set up a head, or the missing middle, you can set up a news alert that way. And you can just do it at the bottom of a search. So you type in the keywords at the bottom, you can just say, create a Google News alert for this. Every website I mentioned, they have a newsletter because people check email. So all you need to do on the HGTV site, sign up for their newsletter. And if you prefer, you can always follow them on social media. The challenge, of course, with social is that because of the algorithm, you're not going to see everything they're posting. But at least it may sort of trigger something and prompt you to go to their page. Right, but also Architectural Digest, three different kinds of newsletters. And I mean, you might be surprised. People are curious, like, what is Jennifer Aniston's real estate portfolio? You will find that on Architectural Digest, and that is a real article. Now, I mentioned two things earlier on. One is that I volunteer for the Toronto Film Society, and that is a sad Susan Hayward. And I see a question about Google News Alerts, which I will get to at the end. So we've got a sad Susan Hayward, but the Meta Business Suite, if you're using a business page and an Instagram business account, it's a free schedule that you can use. So if you know that you want to be posting 3 times a week, but you don't have time during the week, take an hour Sunday afternoon, schedule these things to go out. You can also customize each post. So for instance, on Instagram, you'd want to use hashtags, whereas on Facebook, you probably don't. There's no harm in them. Facebook keeps trying to make it a thing, but each social media network is a bit of a different. That's one option. There are many other options. The other one I recommend is Constant Contact. Oh, and there is Buster again, kind of in between haircuts. But I think the only negative about Meta Business Suite is that it only connects to Facebook and Instagram. Constant Contact will connect to any social media network. The negative, of course, is that it's a subscription service, which starts at $17 a month. But if you're already using it for email marketing, you have access to their social media scheduler. And once you've connected your accounts, you can use it just as you would use Meta Business Suite. And if anybody is using a different scheduler, please let me know. I'm always curious to learn what people are actually using rather than what's being advertised online. So that was a lot of information about content. Do I have any questions that I can answer about content? All right. I have not frozen. I just wanted to check. And of course, we'll get to questions at the end as well. So let's talk about advertising because I get a lot of questions about this. And I think there is definitely value in advertising on Facebook and Instagram. So mentioned this before, but way back in 2012, if you posted something on your Facebook business page, you could expect about 15% of the people that liked your page to see the post. But of course, they want to make money, and now you're lucky if you get 5%. So the only free way to get more eyeballs on your content is by posting things that are genuinely interesting. So if people are liking, commenting, or sharing, more people will see it. The only guaranteed way, of course, is to pay for it. So for the purpose of this session, we're going to talk about boosted posts, simply because you can do 3 hours on Facebook Ads Manager, and I feel like we're only booked at 2:30, and you probably have other things you want to do. So, and also, in all seriousness, I find for most of the clients we work with, a boosted post does what we want it to do, which is reach more people. The ad manager is good for sort of larger scale budgets and lead generation, but if you're looking at an awareness campaign, a boosted post will do it. So the good news is the rules have changed a little bit for the better. So by default, when you click boost post, it brings you up to a window where Facebook asks you to choose a special ad category. So until the last 6 months or so, if you were advertising anything from a real estate page, you had to self-select housing. And once you did this, it would limit your audience. So you were now advertising to everybody over 18 within a 15-mile radius of where you were posting from. So anybody that used Facebook before 2019, you actually could start narrowing it down by like the first digits of a postal code and get specific with interests. So again, if you're advertising a listing, now you do need to select housing, and you can use general special interest like financial planning or real estate. So what has changed is if you were simply boosting a post that deals with general advice, so if you're trying to work with first-time buyers and you make a short video with some advice for first-time buyers, that is no longer considered a housing opportunity, and you don't have to select a special ad category. So again, it's really nice because you can create custom audiences, even for a boosted post. So you might want to upload your database to Facebook and reach people that you already know. You can reach people that already like your page. You can reach a list of people that have visited your page, but don't yet like it. So again, there are a number of different options, and you can get specific about who you want to reach. Other nice thing about advertising is that, especially in a market where it's taking a little bit longer for homes to sell, they're really good numbers that you can share with your sellers. So at the bottom of each post, each boost, it'll tell you how many people were reached and how many people engaged. You click on view results, you can actually see how many people click the link to the listing. So again, if it's taken, let's say, 4 to 6 weeks to sell a property, and halfway in, your sellers are wondering, what are you doing to market my property? This is one of the numbers you can give them, right? We've got an active Facebook ad running. This is how many people are clicking through. And then the other way you can get it to benefit you is that you can't see specifically who you reached, but you can see who engaged. So that would be a thumbs up, a love, or a wow. Or if somebody decided to give you a hug for a listing, which is unlikely, but you never know. But you click this number, it brings up a list specifically of those people, and you can now invite them to like your page. Realistically, maybe 50% will actually accept that invitation, but they know they've been invited, and because they engaged with the ad, the chances are they'll see your next post, whether you advertise it or not. Again, you can go back as far as you want with this if you've been running boosted posts. But again, it's just another way to extend the reach, and it won't take you really more than a minute or two to click through. Right. I did promise you a little bit of information about growing your mailing list. So, in my opinion, one of the reasons you want to grow your mailing list is that it is an asset that you own. Now, I know, well, I guess, did anybody here read the fine print when they signed up for their Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram accounts? I'm going to guess I'm going to hit a wall of silence. Effectively, they own your content and your followers. And I don't want to instill panic because they're not going anywhere. But if for some reason Facebook disappeared, you have no way of contacting people anymore. That database, though, is a gold mine, and it is an asset that you own. So if people are interested enough in connecting with you on social media, you can ask them to sign up for your mailing list. So on Instagram, for instance, you can have now up to four or five links. Make one of them a sign up link. Again, even if one person does it once a month, that's another 12 people that are getting your content. On Facebook, you can either add an email newsletter tab or at the call to action button underneath your banner photo, you can put a button in to sign up. And this is information that you would actually get from whatever email marketing software program you're using, but they would help you integrate. So people sign up, they join your email list, and they get your next newsletter. And then finally, of course, on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn has 3 opportunities for websites. For me, I like to have the company website, the monthly marketing tip, and a Facebook page. Now we get to everybody's favorite part of the session, your homework. And then I will answer questions. So I would say, number one, are you using a business profile? So again, with Facebook and Instagram, if you're not using a business profile, you don't have access to the ad tools, the analytics, or the Meta Business Suite. If you're using a personal Instagram account, you can actually convert it to a business or creator account without losing any followers or content. TikTok, of course, also has a business option as well. And are your profiles complete? So go through. Maybe you want to do it, or maybe you guys ask a trusted colleague or a spouse. Just have them take a look. Is there anything they think is missing or is out of date? I would say especially on LinkedIn, because people don't tend to update their bios that often. So if you've changed brokerages, if you're a newer realtor, you just want to make sure that your bio there is up to date. So think about building your following, because I know it's very difficult to determine a true return on investment from social media, simply because if you're marketing in so many different places that unless you're really asking people, what prompted you to reach out today, it may be different. You can't really draw a line from a communication online to a transaction. But an increasing following is really a key metric when it comes to success. So, you know what? Even every 6 months, invite Facebook friends to like your business page. Partly because you're going to be connected to people on a regular basis, because hopefully you're adding people to your become friends with you on Facebook. And you may have invited people in the past, and their invite has expired. So always a good idea. Once every few months, invite Facebook friends. Connect with your past clients on LinkedIn. Again, your LinkedIn will give you an opportunity to put in a message. So, you click connect, you put in a message that, hey, I'm spending more time on LinkedIn. Really like to see what's going on with you. You can even cut and paste, um, but I would connect with your past clients. And then Instagram, again, we talked about being strategic. So you can look up hashtags and the kind of people that are using them if they match the kind of people you want to work with. The same thing with TikTok as well. But again, the nice thing is if you're posting good content on Instagram, they'll see that, they'll see your local, and they'll follow you back. And then I would challenge you to come up with one way that you can create your own content. Chances are you're going to start with photos, but again, video is really more effective online than anything else. I know not everybody loves being on video, but I mean, for me, I bought a cheap, sorry, not a cheap, an inexpensive tripod with a ring light, and I do my videos right from where I'm sitting here because I found the more difficult I made it for myself, even moving to a place with a white background, it was already too much, and I wouldn't make videos. So come up with one way you can create your own content. And if you are using third-party content, find the sources and join their email list. Um, again, they all want their content to be shared, and email is the best way for you to have access to all their content. And again, the reason that you want to be posting on a regular basis is that there is so much competition out there. It's really easy to be forgotten. So you may be familiar that a little while ago, the National Association of Realtors did a survey of buyers and asked them after 1 year, how many of you can remember your agent's name? Anybody want to guess after 1 year, what percentage of buyers could remember their agent's name after 1 year? Anyone? Anyone want to guess? I won't be mean if you're wrong. All right. 30. Louise. Okay, you're very close. Um, actually 30%, which means that 70% of those buyers forgot their agent's name after 1 year, which is astonishing considering the size of the purchase. But it's also a lot of money left on the table for people that depend on repeat business and their referrals. Um, so that is why engagement is really important. But I know you know that. I guess the other question is like, how many of these sessions have you sat in on over the last year? I know the Mindset Mondays are fantastic. And I know when I sign up for something like this, I usually leave with like a lot of ideas and enthusiasm, and then everything disappears. Like the phone rings, the dog barks. So I sat in on a webinar from Real Estate Magazine, and they said something that really resonated with me. Knowing is not enough. You must take action, right? Because you can have all the information in the world, but if you're not executing it, it is not serving you. And so, as I mentioned at the beginning, one of the most valuable things I learned was like to learn what do I enjoy doing and what makes sense to outsource. So, part of what we do is social media management. I know our clients love it because it takes them almost no time. We post regularly for them on Facebook and LinkedIn. We've got some great content that's unique to them, as well as their listings, market news, and holiday graphics. And all they need to do is check out their feed so that when people in real life talk to them about an article they posted, they know what's happening. The other service is email marketing. So it takes our clients about 15 minutes a month to reach their database, whereas we choose the content, do the layout, write the introduction, send it to their database, and report back with the numbers. And again, it takes them about 15 minutes. So I know that you spend a lot of time and effort doing what you do, and you need to figure out where your time is best spent, which may not be in front of a device, posting on social media or doing email. So I'm going to put a link in the chat, or actually, fancy this time. We're able to take on 2 new clients this month. So you can scan the QR code and book, book a chat and learn a little bit more of about your marketing. And I'll leave that up for a moment. And I'm happy to take questions. So I know there was one I missed. So here we
And
go.
just how do you set up the Google Alert?
Yes, so there are two ways. One is you can actually go to, I'll just type it in, google.com/alerts in your browser. Or if you just go to Google and you do a search, at the bottom it should say, do you want to create an alert for this? And you can click that and then you tell them how often you want it. And of course, assuming you're logged in, the results um, will all be local. So are there any other questions I can answer? I know social media is a big topic, and I've just thrown a lot of information at you.
That was
And
a
if it's that,
ton of content. Yes, thank you, Mark. If you have any questions, anyone, just go ahead and unmute yourself.
yeah, please. It's faster than typing. Like we got some shy people today.
Or it's just all clear. Thank you very much for sharing everything.
Yeah, my pleasure. Um, yeah, thank you for having me. And I look forward to coming back in the new year with a bit of a different topic. And certainly, once you start putting some of these ideas into action and you come across questions or issues, I know my contact information is at the beginning and the end of this slide deck. So please feel free to get in touch. I'm always happy to answer.
Awesome, Mark. And I do have your contact information as well. So if anybody has missed this, please reach out and I'll forward it. Thank you again for your time. This was amazing info. You're getting a lot of thank yous in the chat. So obviously much appreciated.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for having me. And I hope everyone has a great afternoon.
All right. Same to you. Talk to you
Thank you.
soon. Bye, everyone.